Today I'm going to share 7 LSAT prep concepts you've never heard of, but will skyrocket your score. These are concepts I've never heard anyone else in the LSAT world talking about, but I found them to be absolute game changers for my students. I hope they help you out as well. The first concept is the obsessive practice exam narrative, aka OPEN. This is the mistaken impression a lot of students are under that taking more and more practice tests will magically lead to some significant improvement. In reality, this is far from the case. In fact, churning and burning through valuable practice material just ends up wasting your time and leaves you without new material to study from. So I recommend instead slowing it down, reviewing your mistakes in more depth, and also building the foundation first. This brings me to 2 of my other concepts, one of which is the Socratic review method framework, which is the idea that you have a simplified process by which you analyze every single question that you get wrong or have difficulty with. You review it in excruciating detail so that you can avoid making the same mistake again. This framework is one I use with my students in our one-on-one coaching sessions, as well as in our small group sessions where we meet with students live via Zoom 4 nights a week. By engaging in a Socratic dialogue together, I help students come to a better understanding of their mistakes for themselves. Because if I just tell you the perfect explanation for a question, you won't really absorb the key insights in the same way as if you come to that more correct understanding for yourself. So concept number 1, the obsessive practice exam narrative. You want to move away from churning and burning through the tests and instead take fewer tests and review them using concept number 2, the Socratic review method. In my courses, in my coaching, I give my students templates and guidelines and worksheets to help them walk through this process for themselves. And then together, we go through it together, side by side. I'm holding your hand through the process for the 3 to 5 hardest LSAT questions you've recently encountered. Now, of course, none of this is going to work if you haven't built the foundation first, which brings me to concept number 3, the laser approach. The laser approach to LSAT prep is a layered study plan approach where I walk you through 5 phases. Lasers in acronym standing for learning, accuracy, sections, exams, and review. And it's the foundation of all of my LSAT study plans that I create for my students. When you join our program, you will get a personalized day-by-day study plan laying out for you exactly what to do every single day over the course of your prep, which LSAT questions to complete, which videos to watch, when to do questions by type or timed sections, or full-length exams in the lead up to test day. But you gotta build that foundation first. And so we work on learning and accuracy before moving on to sections, exams, and review. If you already have a strong foundation, if you're scoring 160 plus, that's great. At that point, of course, you can move on to sections, exams, and review. And by the way, that's the threshold at which I'm looking for students to join my one-on-one intensive coaching program. If you're interested in finding out more, you can check out the links below the video to book a call with me and my team. We'd be glad to help you out. Now, concept number 4 is one that I don't ever hear other prep companies talking about, especially, which is writing your own explanations. I encourage my students to write their own explanations for the questions giving them trouble. This is just but one element of the Socratic review method framework I recommended earlier. The idea being that reading other people's explanations doesn't help nearly as much as engaging critically with the questions for yourself and engaging to such a degree that you could write your own explanations, laying out, for example, how you understand the argument in the stimulus if we're talking logical reasoning, for example, how you understand the passage if we're talking reading comp, for example, the question stem, the answer choices, what makes an answer choice tempting, what makes it wrong, what makes a right answer choice unappealing, and what ultimately makes it correct. I learned far more when I wrote explanations for over 1,000 official LSAT logical reasoning questions than I did when I was reading someone else's so-called perfect approach to a question that would never actually work on LSAT test day itself. So write your own explanations. Now, concept number 5 is an anxiety reduction technique. It's a way to engage in a sort of risk mitigation for yourself, which is to recognize that it's never just about one LSAT test. It's not about the test that you're scheduled for, because you can always retake the LSAT. The LSAT's offered 8 times per year, and law schools do not average multiple LSAT scores. They only take the highest, meaning there is no downside to retaking the LSAT. If you could improve even just a point or two alone by retaking, that would be well worth an LSAT retake. So hopefully knowing that the test before you is not the only one that is on the agenda, that you have another one down the line that you're maybe even scheduled for already, can help reduce some anxiety around the test that you're preparing for. Concept number 6, I call the limit does not exist. I'm quoting here from Mean Girls. The idea here being that there is no limit to the number of practice tests you can benefit from. While there are currently 94 exams that are numbered, and post June, they're going to reduce it to 58 that are numbered in the upcoming format without the logic games section. You are not limited to just those exams because there are always a handful more that are out of print that might be tough to get. But if you search a little bit, you can get your hands on them. They might be out of print, available, used, and new on Amazon from third-party sellers. For example, prep tests numbered 1 to 18, prep test A, the February 1997 LSAT. Those are some additional LSATs that few people know about, but could really help you out if you're searching for additional material, no matter the source, and you just want more practice questions. The other thing is that you can benefit significantly from redoing LSAT practice tests. Unless you would get a perfect 180 by redoing a test, meaning you would still get something wrong even though you've seen it before, there is of course still some additional value to be derived from redoing that test. The point of doing practice tests is not simply to measure yourself, but rather to learn from your mistakes and to make mistakes so you can identify weak areas that you might want to focus on. And so don't make the mistake of thinking because you've seen it before, it's useless. There is always still value to be derived from a practice test, even if you've done it before. The final concept I want to share with you is that even though logic games is being removed from the test later this year, you can still benefit a lot from approaching logical reasoning and reading comp like they were logic games. For example, you want to make sure that you take the time to pause and deeply understand the prompt before you get into the question. So for logic games, people typically know you want to slow down, diagram the rules, make some inferences before going on to the questions. But in logical reasoning and reading comp, students often read the stimulus or passage, they have no clue what it says, and then they jump right into the question and the choices, hoping that will clear things up somehow, when in reality, it just makes things more complicated because you're throwing more material at yourself without really knowing what you read in the first place. So when I find students in this situation, I tell them, slow it down. What did we just read? What is this actually saying? And then can we develop our own understanding of it personalized to us in a real world sense before moving on to the questions and the answer choices. And this never fails to yield some new improved understanding that makes the questions that much easier, that paves the way to get more questions right. So anyway, folks, that's all for now. I hope you found these 7 LSAT prep concepts helpful. If you did, please do me a favor and share this video with someone who needs to see it. I don't do any advertising for these videos. I rely only on word of mouth to help get the word out. And so you're spreading the word really does make a difference. And if you're taking the LSAT later this year, either with the game section or without the game section, of course, there are a variety of ways we can support you in helping you achieve the highest LSAT score possible, ideally 170 plus. We'd be glad to help you out. We have live online classes via Zoom, on-demand video courses, small group coaching, and one-on-one coaching services. You can check out the links below this video to find out more and to book a call with me and my team. We'd be glad to help you out and have you join our program. And in the meantime, I wish you all the best and take care.